Yeah, you never know where the connection's going to come from. Strangely for me, the character is always the last point of entry, and I was swept away by the story as a whole. And that what was extraordinary about it is that it was written in the wake of the global financial crisis, and obviously that's the backdrop and the collapse of the banking system as we know it or came to know it, and the human detritus that went in the wake of that. But yet it drew on, which I suppose is where I connected with it immediately, it drew on this long line in American drama of a lot of female characters, enter Tennessee Williams, enter Eugene O'Neill, female characters who walk such a tenuous line between fantasy and reality, which is something that dramatists for decades have understood in America, and he was able to tap into that as well as this sort of really contemporary zeitgeist thing that was in the post-global financial crisis. And that's a very rare thing where a work has a history to it, but also is simultaneously really contemporary. The cost of the Hermes bag was bigger than the entire costume budget. So,
wow.
So yeah, and then I didn't even realise that till I'd thrown it on the ground, and I could see every time I did it, I could see Susie Benzinger wincing at the back, and she said, "That's the PR girl's bag, and I've got to return it at the end of the shoot."
Oh,
I felt so terrible. Spat on the bottom and tried to get out. But yeah, no, it is a wing and a prayer.
Do you recall how many shooting days it was?
No. I think we had 4 or 5 weeks in San Francisco and about 10 days in New York.
Yeah.
It's fast, but it means that everyone has to be on. And I think that's part of the reason why his films have a particular energy, is that we're all in that little apartment together, and everyone wants to make, as you do with every film, no one wants to make a bad film. I think it might have been Woody that actually said that. But, sometimes they work and sometimes they don't, but everybody tries to bring their best to him, because they know they've only got a couple of goes at it, because he's got to get to dinner. One of the best pieces of direction I was given by a Hungarian director who directed Uncle Vanya that we did. On opening night, we were performing in Washington at the Eisenhower, and he said, "Look, that was the last preview was great." He said, "But all those things that got laughs, all those moments that worked, I don't want to see any of that tonight." He said, "I don't do anything that happened. Of course, the blocking had to be the same, the architecture's the same, but risk finding something new." And I think that is such a great piece of advice, because it's important to be on your toes. That's why you have to risk that terrifying moment of failure, because otherwise you're not pushing yourself forward. And this was terrifying. I mean, A, because I was working with my hero, but B, where do you begin? And so the material reveals to you where you begin. I mean, and that's the exciting thing. Otherwise, I don't know why you do it. If you pick up a script, and I've had fortunately, some great scripts, and you think, I know how to do that, then you have to have the courage to say, someone else should do it. Because if you can already see it in your head, then, what are you going to do that's different? And, sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And, I've been in both types.